guys, and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be looking at a scenario where World War II never happened. How's this going to go? Well, let's go ahead and say that despite Hitler's efforts, when Germany annexed Austria, political violence somehow still broke out, and Germany got engulfed into a civil war between multiple factions, including, and the most powerful of which, being the Democrats over here in the Rhine area, possibly supported by the Benelux and France, although that is not confirmed. Down here we have basically Bavaria rebelling. And of course, over here, possibly or possibly not funded by the Soviets who are influencing Lithuania, we have ourselves a communist uprising in Königsberg. So with these three uprisings, we see a few more breaking out, including the uprising in Austria for Austrian independence by some resistance fighters, and basically just a monarchist uprising. Germany is just in all-out civil war. Obviously, this couldn't happen. Hitler did a pretty good job of killing anyone who could possibly have overthrown him. But let's go ahead and say that he failed at finding the true leaders who were hidden underground, and now they're all rebelling against him. Quickly, the communists will secure Königsberg, whilst the monarchists secure Berlin and most of eastern Germany, with all of practically Brandenburg secure. Meanwhile, the Democrats will secure Hamburg and all of the Rhine region, whilst the, Bavarians secure Munich and just Bavaria in general. The Austrians will do the same, just securing Austria. With that, the big fight breaks out between the monarchists and the Democrats as they split whatever's left. And now everybody wants to have all the land back, so another kind of fight is going to break out. As nobody wants basically Bavaria to exist, the Democrats start the invasion, the monarchists join in, and the Austrians decide, hey, why not come out of this with extra land and also invade? Then everyone says, whoa, Austria, you weren't supposed to invade. This is a German civil war. So everyone's now just killing Austria. Sadly for the monarchists, the Democrats get most of this land, although they are able to push the Democrats back slightly. At this point, the communists are just kind of over here, and they kind of just peace out, just leave. They declare independence for Prussia and form good relations with the Soviets. Eventually, these guys are probably going to reinvade, but for now, the Civil War rages on, as we have basically the Democrats against the monarchists. The one difference is the Democrats have the entire Western world behind them, and the monarchists have nobody. So try and guess who's going to win this. Well, that's right, the Democrats. And from there, the Democrats decide, hey, you can't just leave, and annex Königsberg. With that, the German Civil War is over, and Germany is now a fully democratic country with good relations with France and the UK. How's this going to affect everything? Well, it's going to affect everything. World War II will not happen. But you know who does still want land? The USSR. Without World War II, they didn't get a lot of that land that they wanted, and we're now going to have two opposing blocs. The USSR quickly moves to annex Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, whilst also preparing for war with Poland. Meanwhile, the Allies form up defensive alliances with Poland. As with Germany gone, the USSR is now the sole threat on the world stage. The Soviets then invade Finland, and in real life that didn't go so great if you know your history, but here it's going to go a whole lot better. And basically the USSR is going to take a bit of land and puppet the rest. Basically just means in a future war, Finland will be there to assist them. And, they're still going to take some land. They're not just going to let Finland off like that. So just after taking a bit of land, just generally along the border, they puppet what's left. And they now have themselves a semi-loyal puppet. USSR is basically just trying to take over any neutral countries before they join the Allies and join the Western Bloc. From here, they are going to demand Bessarabia from Romania, and Romania, whose options are die or give over Bessarabia, decide to give over Bessarabia. That is not what it looks like. It looks something more like this. Oh, that's horrible. Okay. Come on. I can get this. You know what? Sure, that works. So now with some form of Bessarabia under their control, the Soviets decide, hey, why not continue to expand? We already did this. So they go down to Iran and basically say, join me or die. Iran says, oh, really, what you gonna do? And the Soviets say, I'm gonna do this. So they take certain parts of northern Iran whilst puppeting the rest. Similar to what they did with Finland, just that with even less resistance, as they had already had spies working undercover in Iran to turn the country communist. With that, the Allies are kind of getting worried. The Soviets are very quickly expanding their sphere of influence, and with Iraq now under it, it is speeding up even further. So they form up an official pact between the three great powers of the West. The democratic bastion of Germany, the colonizers of France and the UK. Wow, that's literally about it. But this is still an absolute powerhouse. This has some of the most powerful countries in the world behind it, all working together without any real infighting. Without any infighting. This is an absolutely insane alliance whose goal is literally just don't let the Soviets get too strong. Will they succeed in that goal? Well, I'll show you in a second, because more countries are looking to join this, including Benelux, and, well, for now, that's it. Then Italy decides, wow, everyone's betraying me. Well, I'm gonna do my own thing. So they form up their own faction, which we're gonna have be the Green faction. In this Green faction, they are going to get Bulgaria, and if you didn't know, an ally they could have had is Turkey, so they are going to get Turkey. They are then basically going to annex Albania. In this world, they already have Ethiopia. And Yugoslavia, yeah, that's not going to go great for you, as Hungary just joined. With Hungary in, Czechoslovakia joins the purple team, and the Nordics are looking more and more likely to. Also, I should probably color in Canada, but we're not going to be doing anything on this side of the world, so it's not really necessary to color in. I'll just leave it blank for now. With that, how's this great war going to begin? Well, you probably guessed it, but it's gonna start with the Soviets. Soviets are gonna decide, hey, enough standing around and waiting. Everyone get in here. It is time for war. And they declare war on Poland. Poland, who had been guaranteed by both Britain, France, and Germany, pulls in the entire purple team with them. As for the green team, well, they decide who do we want to kill more, and that is the blue team. With that, Yugoslavia and Greece both join the blue team, and your options here, well, just about everybody now has to pick a side. Romania picks the blue team. Oh, that's why their borders looked weird, because Bulgaria owns that. That's why I couldn't get Bessarabia right. Okay. All of the Nordics pick the blue team, obviously except for Finland, who doesn't really get a choice. The Soviets tell them, you're fighting with us and you're gonna like it, and they say no, and then the Soviets kill a bunch of people, and then they say yes. Portugal also decides to join in, but Spain is still recovering from a civil war, so they hold off on it. Portugal mainly just joins because money, and because they want that money. So let the Great War begin. How's it gonna begin? Well, with the Allies. Of course, they were more than prepared for this, and especially Hungary was not. Albania is also captured, and Yugoslavia reclaimed certain territories. We see that Italy, just like in real life, is being an incompetent fool and getting absolutely beat up by the blue team. They will attempt to survive, but will they be able to? That is to be seen. Over here in the Middle East, the red team begins multiple invasions, which go surprisingly well. The blue team did not have nearly enough divisions here, and French Syria is captured, along with Kuwait. Over here in Eastern Europe as well, although the blue team was very much so prepared, the USSR was even more prepared. So despite Polish resistance, Poland very soon surrenders, and even Germany has lost some land as the Civil War had weakened them, and they were honestly not ready for this. Over here in the Nordics, well, it's mostly a stalemate, but the USSR is using some specially trained Siberian divisions to fight in the cold Nordics. They also capture these random islands for absolutely no reason. From there, well, the USSR is going to keep on doing that. They're going to capture the Romanian coast, meet up with Turkey and Bulgaria, and hold the line. Greece is also going to begin to fall against Turkish troops. And Turkey is going to continue to push into the Middle East, hoping to reach the Suez. They somehow managed to reach the Suez. Why is this? Because the Allies had one priority that they prioritized more: kicking Italy out of Africa. With all coastlines gone, these Italian divisions were all encircled and either surrendered or were killed. With the Italians out, the African continent is practically just the blue team's continent, and Italy itself has just lost basically just everything they have. Sicily and Sardinia, all their islands, are gone. Even in the Alps, they're struggling to hold out as Venice is captured and the blue team is pushing into the north. From there, southern Italy rebels and joins the blue team. Italy's already about to fall. Not looking great for you there. Luckily for you, your teammates are doing quite well, especially over here in the Balkans. With most of the blue team's attention on Italy, the USSR finds an easy time pushing into the Balkans. Germany's defending hard, but sadly Yugoslavia cannot defend themselves, and they die. From there, Italy starts to do even worse, especially in the south where Rome falls, and Italy surrenders. Absolutely fantastic for the blue team. But you want to know what's even more fantastic for the blue team? The name's America, and they hate communism. They hate communism so much and decide that they prefer the UK and France, and they join into the war. And that, I mean, if the Soviets had any chance of winning before, which I'd say they might have been able to stalemate it, yeah, that just disappeared in an instant. Any hope that they could have won just disappeared. Japan is doing their thing with China, but that'll be over soon enough. The USA also joined against Japan, so I guess we could put Japan on the red team here. Their war with China had just been going on. Them and the USSR are not allies, let me tell you. But they are fighting the same enemies, so I'll have them in the same color. I also never colored in all of Southeast Asia and Indonesia, which are colonies, either of the Crown or the Netherlands, whatever you say for their colonies. So now China is fighting against Japan, and this got even worse for the Soviets, at least if you ask me. Japan is technically winning in China. They control most of the coastline and a lot of land in inner China, with the capital under their control. And yeah, China's fallen back, but China is recuperating, and now with blue team assistance, they're going to be able to push back. The Japanese do get the first strike, though, as they capture the Philippines and begin to push down to Southeast Asia. The Dutch can definitely not hold on to all of this, so the Japanese landings are more than effective. From there, well, let's go ahead and jump back to Europe, where American aid is arriving, and the full blue team army is as well. Before they were occupied with Italy, yeah, not anymore. Now their full force is set on regaining lost lands and pushing the Soviets back. Just absolutely destroying the Soviets is currently their goal. They push back the Turks, and the Turks are not happy with this. The Turks are hoping to regain a lost empire and their influence in the world, and now they are losing any of it that they could have had in the future. Over here in China, the Japanese are starting to see that they may not be so invincible after all, as even the Chinese are pushing them back. The Japanese are being surprisingly quickly pushed out, And the Americans are almost done developing a very handy little bomb you may have heard of before. And if you know what two cities, well, good job, because they're about to be bombed again. Just like that, and just like that. With the two first nuclear weapons being used, Japan is more than freaked out, and as are the Soviets. Japan practically immediately surrenders after this, seeing absolutely no point in fighting a war that physically cannot be won, especially since the Allies threatened to nuke even larger cities. I don't think they'd go to the extent of Tokyo yet, because that is just far too many civilians killed. But with the threat of the Allies nuking you just there, Japan is forced to fully surrender. With Japan out of the war, well, now the Allies can redirect even more attention to the Soviets and push in from the east. That's not good. They just lost any eastern lands they could have used. And if that wasn't bad enough, now the Allies are pushing out from India and back into the Middle East. They also got past the Suez and are pushing back in the Middle East, and just in general, the Allies are pushing back everywhere. Turkey's on the absolute verge of capitulation, and the Soviets are being completely pushed out of Europe. With the complete recapture of all Blue Team territories, it is now just the Russians fighting for their life. The Allies are swiftly moving into Finland, who basically tells them, hey, come on in, come take me, because they want to be under the Blue Team. And in the Baltics, it is much a similar story. Now, the Blue Team is going to win where Germany could not, whereas Germany failed to finish the Caucasus Front due to just superior Soviet firepower in the long run. Despite original German advances, the Blue Team can take the slow and steady approach and slowly but surely absolutely demolish the Soviet Union. With that, well, in the Caucasus, the Blue Team's pushing in from the south. The Blue Team is absolutely demolishing the Soviets on their mainland, and just everywhere, they're getting pushed back. Caucasus, fully captured. Moscow, on the brink of collapse. St. Petersburg, captured. Northern Russia, gone. That is the order in which they fall, and that is the order in which they completely die. China's even offered to join in to take Mongolia, and they eventually accept. With everyone against them, the Soviets are eventually forced to surrender, with the Allies threatening to nuke them. Just threatening nuking some random city that the Soviets had to tell them, yep, we're serious, we'll kill you if you do not comply. So the Soviets are forced to do so. With that, a peace treaty is going to be drawn in. How's this peace treaty going to go? Well, Czechoslovakia, you can have your old land back. The land that Hungary took out of you. Maybe it won't be exact, but hey, at least you'll get most of it back. As for Germany, you're not getting anything out of them, but out of Italy, the Allies suppose that you can get some old German lands. Yugoslavia also gets a significant amount of land. And Albania, I guess I'll split them between Yugoslavia and Greece. Yes, they shall be divided between Yugoslavia and Greece. As for Bulgaria, some minor punishment will be administered, as the Blue Team takes some amounts of land along the border, whilst the Bulgarian government is allowed to stay in power for the most part, and their country isn't humiliated too badly. As for Greece, well, Greece is going to get all Greece could possibly want. No, not all of it, because the Turks are allowed to keep Constantinople or Istanbul, but the Greeks get a whole lot of land. Just Greece, maybe not the full Megali idea, but you're definitely up there. Even the Germans. The Germans are not fully democratic, and the Allies decide that they deserve a colony. So the Germans will be getting a new German East Africa in Somalia. The rest of this is going to be divided up among the allies, but Ethiopia will most likely be given independence. French Djibouti might be expanded a small amount, and just give the rest to the British. I'm sure the British won't mind extra land. As for Libya, we're going to do what the Europeans like best. We're going to draw 2 straight lines, and that's the new border. Boom. Perfect. 2 straight lines, absolutely beautiful. As for France, they might take some small border territories out of Italy. Nothing absolutely major. They won't even take Sardinia. But Italy will be stripped of their colonies and given a completely new government. Everyone is going to be given a completely new government. As for the USSR, well, they immediately lose Bessarabia and extra lands to Romania. Even Poland is given some borderlands, whilst Germany is given basically the bit of land in the Baltics. Poland is allowed to gain a small amount of land out of Lithuania and out of Belarus and Ukraine. They aren't expanded to their full extent of what they wanted, but can they really complain? No, they cannot. A new Baltic Confederation is set up, mostly led by Estonians, and the Finns are given back any lost lands plus extra. So yeah, the Finnish are happy, everyone is happy. As for Russia, you think this is punishment enough? It's not. Mongolia goes to the Chinese, as does Manchuria. Korea and Japan are both turned into American satellites. Siberia is going to be given its own thing now, as is Central Asia. Central Asia is divided up into a Kazakhstani republic. It's Kazakhstan. We are going to have a Turkmenistani government. So the Kazakhs, the Turkmenistan. Obviously, these aren't exact borders in real life. I just like changing it up a bit. And then we're going to have... No, you know what? Screw that. I want Stanistan. Because Stanistan has a funny name. Stanistan is getting its own country. Iran gets back some lost lands. And Turkey... Yeah, that's not going to look very good for you, Turkey. You lose land to French Syria. As for Iraq, well, you are now fully put under British governance. Southern Russia, well, we have the Republic of Armenia, which is slightly larger than in our world, actually significantly larger, as they gain land out of both Turkey and Iran. Then we have the Azerbaijani state and the Georgian state. So yeah, Southern Russia is being carved up. We couldn't possibly forget about you, Central Russia. You will also be carved up quite significantly as Ukraine is given independence, as is Belarus, although in a much smaller form. Is this Russia's new border? No, because as I stated, the West needs to make sure that Russia does not rise to power again, and this time their strategy to doing so is to split Russia into 2, a Siberian realm and Russia. With all of this, is that enough punishment? I'd say so. Russia has been more than divided, and I do not see them coming back from this, so let's draw in these new borders, and I can end this video. First of all, of course, we have Poland. I'm just going to restate everything. You can skip forward a bit if you don't want to see it. I will also be showing you every country's final borders after this Great War. And with pretty much every single country being Western and no support from the Soviets to Mao or any kind of communist uprising, along with the Chinese people being much more satisfied with the war's end, I don't see maybe a minor Chinese civil war, but nothing like what happened in our world where the communists completely overthrow the government. The Chinese will be an American ally from here on out. Probably same as with China in real life, regrowing their economy, regrowing everything they have. Decolonization will most likely start fairly soon, as maybe not as much as in World War II, but all sides were still heavily weakened by this, especially economically, and it is going to be much more difficult to hold on to colonies. Although maybe not all colonies will be given independence, or perhaps some will be let go of as satellite states. Just simply because this wasn't this was absolutely devastating to the Russians, but the West, not nearly as much as World War II, especially France. France in World War II got absolutely decimated. France in this world, it got hurt. It definitely got hurt, lost some soldiers in battle, had to give up some money to buy equipment. But overall, they're going. They never capitulated. They never lost all their major cities. They were never bombed out. They never had to go through multiple landings and fights. They will be much stronger in this world than they were in real life. Also, Germany, coming out of this much nicer than they did in our world, gaining a lot of land in the Baltics, and just having a lot more land in general. They will most likely eventually give this land independence, at least the majority of it, under possibly area of occupation. But they also got themselves a colony, so you know what? Good job, Germany. You did better in this world than when you went. Oh, and I colored that in wrong. Of course I did. Why wouldn't I? It's Czechoslovakia's land, now Hungary. And in the end, Hungary got absolutely nothing out of this, and they're pretty much the same. Turkey can't say the same, but Armenia is more than happy. They are much larger than they were in our world. Iran is not very happy. They've only lost land. Turkey's probably one of the biggest losers in this world. Not looking great there, Turkey. Really not looking great. Japan, yeah, you're also going to lose Gallon. Japan's about as strong as they will be in our world, but hey, Korea's united. That's pretty big. Korea being united is quite significant, of some quite high relevancy. Just trying to find the most fancy words to say for that. Why? Because why not? Yeah, honestly, I kind of like these British colonies, though. Colonialism, yeah, it's not going to last for much longer. The war crimes that are committed there, I don't think the people would put up with that for too much longer. And especially over here in the old Italian colonies, well, it's just going to be even worse. They're war-torn, too. They're going to have even worse infrastructure than colonies already do in our world. Is that all the borders done? No, we have to put in Finland, of course. Finland, despite fighting on the losing side, is going to gain a lot of land out of this since, well, they did everything they could to help the blue team. Spies, actual Finnish troops that defected. They did everything they could to help, and they're going to be rewarded for that. As for the US, just influence. They get influence and they get money. With that, I'm going to color this out. And I doubt there will be a World War III in this world. Unless something drastic happens, I think this is going to be generally the world borders. Obviously, decolonization is going to have to happen, at least to some extent. Eventually, it'll happen. And I hope you guys... I knew I had something missing. I knew it. I was about to end the video. I knew it. Italy. I forgot to take away Italy's land. Not a ton of land, but Germany's definitely happy with that. There. Now I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.